Welcome once again to Ask the Techies. I'm D.Lee Beard. Back in October, I made some predictions that Apple would come out with a oversized iPod. That would be basically sort of like a tablet PC, tablet computer. And it turns out I was right. They recently announced their new iPad device. And this is basically a device that can run all the iPhone apps, iPod Touch apps. It's also got the ability to do books, newspapers, because ebooks just really weren't very feasible on here. You could do PDFs, but they've actually got an ebook format that does, as I predicted, a finger swipe to be able to turn to the next page. Okay, so it's got those features. It's got a 3G network. And because it's a larger screen, it has a bit more capability. It's always been hard to try to browse the web on the iPod Touch. And the fact that you have a larger screen, it's a 9.7-inch screen. I think I predicted about a 9-inch, so it's pretty close on target there. That is very doable. It's good enough for the portion of a page. For instance, most of your books that you get are about this size, so the readable portion is about 9.7 inches diagonal. So that's going to work out very well for books. What I want to talk about, though, is not so much about the specs in this iPad. You can look those up on Apple. What I want to talk about is how this is a game changer. And one of the things I want to point out to you is that it is marking the death of the mouse, the computer mouse. There is no need for a mouse. And for lack of a better thing, I'm going to use this as if this was the iPod Touch. And the thing is, you just do the little swipe with your fingers. You just hold the thing, swipe, swipe. No need for a mouse. You touch what you want. Phil Schiller showed in the software that comes with it for like word processing that you can tap one point and then you can grab another one and add more things to it and then move several things at once. That was a very powerful feature. You don't need the mouse. You just touch exactly what you want. This is so natural. It's always kind of a pain to kind of click the mouse, get the pointer up to where you need, click, go down. This way you just go tap, tap. There you go. You're set exactly. Nothing is more intuitive than just using your bare hands to touch exactly what you want. The mouse was a great technology. Don't get me wrong. It was innovative. But what everybody seems to miss is that what's happening with these tablet computers that Apple's coming out with, these touch screens, is that the mouse is going to die. Going to die away. I think keyboards will still be better because people can usually type faster than they can actually handwrite. So I don't think keyboards are going to go away, and it does come with a keyboard, on-screen keyboard that you can type on. And if you aren't too good with the touchscreen typing, you have an extra keyboard you can buy that you can plug into the thing if you really need to do extensive typing on this mobile device. The big game changer on this also is the ebooks. Ebooks have failed for years. Ebooks have failed. Electronic books, you buy books on CD-ROM, you just get an Encyclopedia Britannica, I think, on a CD-ROM with your computer, and I never used a thing. You had to pop in the disc, you had to wait for the disc to spin up, and then when you go to a new page and you try to load any content, you had to wait for that to spin up, and it took a while for the video to actually load. You can only have little small thumbnail video clips anyway. This is an opportunity for real ebooks. I mean, the Kindle, forget the Kindle. The Kindle is black and white. I mean, if all you're doing is reading Tolstoy's War and Peace, then that works great. But if you're trying to read modern textbooks, this is a powerful tool because it has the capability to display in color. And it's even conceivable that you could have multimedia content in that ebook, interactive content, to where your book is more interactive. Your book could even be an application that runs on the iPad, its own application with multimedia content, stuff that you get off the web, the text. I mean, the possibilities are really endless with this sort of thing. So we're doing away with this little mobile device. We're having the ability to have books on the device, so it's a plus. The book can be handier. It can be more interactive, more multimedia on the iPad. Well, why would you want to spend $500 for that? I'll tell you why. Because the textbooks could be sold for less. And the way they could be sold for less is because what really costs publishers is the paper. Actually printing the book, binding the books, also costs them the shipping of the books. And then what do you do with all the ones that are left over? You print out 1 million, you only sell 900,000, you have 100,000 of them left over. Well, what do you do with it? Electronic ones, digital copy. You make it, it's not like you're making a whole bunch of them and you have a warehouse full of these things not knowing what to do with them. You can get the book right away. If you're a college student, imagine not having to wait in line to get your textbooks. You just download them off the iTunes store directly onto your iPad. You got your books right there. Let's imagine you're a college student and you got a laptop. You got to haul that around in your backpack. And you got some books here that you got to haul around too. Another book, and another book. This is just, oh, that's just 3 classes, and I have more than 3 classes that I'm taking. This is getting heavy, and I got to haul this on my back all the way across campus as I go to different places. It's going to get old really quick. The iPad is 1.5 pounds, and it can hold all of this stuff. It can be your laptop because it's got word processing, presentations software. It's got web browser, email, photos. Oh boy, what else do you want? The whole books and newspapers thing. You got all those apps that you want to run on this sort of thing. But the only thing that you can't do on this thing are the kind of applications you have on a PC. So if you wanted to do something like Photoshop, you couldn't do that. Video editing at this point, that doesn't appear to be available on there yet. So those are things that you won't have with this. But just about everything else you'd have. And in tough economic times, if you've got to decide between buying a $1,000 laptop or a $500 iPad, that's going to save you $500. And it could save you even more in the cost of textbooks depending on what happens. Now this is the potential. Now whether this comes through reality depends on the textbook publishers getting on board with this iPad and making publications for it. I think they're going to see the wisdom of this and are going to try to do this because it's smarter for them. They can make more money and save students at the same time. It also depends on Apple marketing this device in such a way so people realize this potential. So that's going to be a factor on that. There are several things on this device that are still up in the air. The multitasking, the ability to have an instant messaging application up at the same time while you're typing a document, or to have your email up at the same time as you're typing a document. Multitasking, it's still uncertain as to whether it's going to have it. At present, it doesn't have it in the ones that they demoed recently out for the press to see. However, it is believed that the iPad is not going to be released with the iPhone 3.2 software, but rather going to be released with the iPhone 4.0 software. And that 4.0 software is going to have the power for multitasking. It's rumored to believe. Now, if I'm right again this time, then it'll have multitasking. One of the things it's lacking is a camera at the top. Every Apple display has a little camera, a little webcam up at the top of the computer display. Why would you not have one of those on here? And the interesting thing about it is it does appear that the iPhone OS will have the capability to do that, as well as the frame for the iPad appears to have a place built in to accept a webcam that, like the same kind that's in a MacBook laptop. So it seems very conceivable that that can happen, so you can do video chatting, video conferencing with the device, or turn it around and take a snapshot or a video of wherever you are, of ducks in the pond in Italy on your study international trip. So the possibilities here are pretty extensive. The key things to remember are it's not going to be out for a couple of months, so there's still some time for things to be tweaked. What applications people actually write for this thing is a possibility. We're already seeing the iPod Touch and iPhone being used in education with these educational apps. Should you go out and buy one? Well, sort of depends. Depends on what the final version is and who you are. If you want to be mobile, if you find yourself using a laptop type of device for things like checking your email, browsing the web, doing apps, then you're going to be happy with it. Now, it doesn't have flash support, so if you wanted to play Farmville, it doesn't look like that's going to be a possibility unless they rewrite Farmville, because flash is not being supported. And I don't blame Steve Jobs for that. I don't think he should. It crashes a lot of things. It's inconsistent. They aren't following appropriate standards at Adobe in using flash. I really think it should fade away in favor of something newer and better, more reliable, more trustworthy. I think what you should do is hold off on buying one of these. Wait until they're actually released. Let people like me review it for you and get back to you as to what we think about it to give you a thorough review. I'm not going to talk a whole lot about what this can do right now because who knows what it's going to be by the time it actually gets out. But I will get my hands on one and I'll play with it, figure out what it can do and what its limitations are, and get back to you on that to see what the possibilities of it are. In the meantime, if you have any questions about this device or about this device or any device, anything to do with computers, technology, and the software that runs on them, feel free to drop me an email at questions@asktheteckies.com. Thanks for watching. Have fun with all those toys.